Hello everyone and welcome back to Handing the Shame Back, a channel dedicated for child sexual abuse survivors, CSA survivors, here in Aotearoa and across the world. Not only do we talk to survivors each week, we also offer other resources, and I'm delighted today to advise that sitting here ready to begin are our co-founders of EmpowerMe in New Zealand. So welcome Tamara War and Susan Miller. It's so lovely to have you on the show. And
Thank
for
you.
Our audience out there, just a little quick note, if you find any of the content triggering, please go below to the show notes where you will be directed for some help. Okay, so love to start with you guys and tell us all about EmpowerMe, which was co-founded with the two of you in 2020.
Yeah. So
who's gonna talk first?
Yeah. A week before the first COVID lockdown here in New Zealand, Susan and I got together in an office in Auckland University and started to nut out a model for a program that we wanted to have freedom to design. So, our backgrounds in designing and delivering programs, and they've always been sort of government funded or funded. So we've always had these kind of red tapes around what it is that we can do. And we really wanted to expand that and come up with something that we felt had all of the bits involved. And so what we have now is a hybrid between, sort of the science model and the spiritual model. And it kind of just encapsulates all of the areas and brings it all together.
That wonderful holistic approach. And
that's exactly the word I was going to use. It is a holistic approach.
Yeah, definitely. And we took a year to sort of design and develop it and get to, working together and understanding each other. And, I guess like there was a lot of working on ourselves during the kind of development of EmpowerMe. And when we first launched, we launched it for any adults who wanted or were interested in doing self-development. And that went really successfully. But with both of us having survived sexual abuse, it's an area that we both felt really quite passionate about. And I have done a lot of work in the sexual violence sector, and Susan's done a lot of work in domestic violence sector. And so with all the statistics that I was aware of and getting every month, at my board meetings, it was just really, really evident that there was a critical shortage of services and help for survivors of sexual violence and sexual abuse and sexual trauma.
Yeah, because the funding is allocated for crisis work, and we spoke to MSD and they advised that they're going to be looking into it because there is a gap being identified that what happens after someone has either realised or worked out that that's what's happened to them. They've had, they've gone through therapy, they've had support, that crisis support, but at the end, then it's, well, what happens now?
Yes.
And that's exactly where EmpowerMe comes in, because it's really to support someone's future, not their past, So we focus on their future and hold space for their past. So they get to, be the person they want to be and help them get unstuck. And the idea for the holistic approach is really offering enough tools for people for them to find what suits them. So, because obviously everyone's different and they're going to find different healing, aren't they, in different modalities and tools and skills and strategies that we offer, and they get to, I guess they get to pick and choose, really. So it's
and everyone learns differently as well.
They do.
And Susan and I are pretty different as well in the way that we facilitate, So there's like a really good balance between us, and when we deliver, they get a nice balance of that facilitator. And then we also have another facilitator, Natalie, who we've been training, and it really, you know, depending on how someone learns, there's like many kind of options there for them. If they relate more to me, then, you know, then there's an opportunity for that mentoring that happens. If they relate more to Susan, then it's that connection that kind of holds them and supports them through the process. But yeah, it's, you know, when we first developed it, it was for, you know, non-survivors. So when we decided that we wanted it to be for survivors, we basically kind of took it apart again and then rebuilt it so that it's a trauma-informed approach. And there's a lot more holding space. There's a lot more support, and just like, because everybody in that room has experienced some form of sexual trauma, it's almost immediately becomes a safe space. And it's one of the biggest sort of feedbacks we've had is that it just feels safe, and it feels like everyone just understands, and you immediately feel connected to everybody.
Well, and you know, guys, I had the privilege of being part of one of your EmpowerMe groups, and I have to say, you know, it's amazing. And immediately the sense of safety, the sense of not having to justify or rationalize or explain why this did happen is so powerful, because I think as survivors, what we find is we kind of get exhausted, not just by the trauma and the triggering that happens, but also by the fact that other people don't necessarily want to hear it. But when you're with a group of survivors, they instantly get it. So I think I love the fact that you have repurposed this for CSA survivors, and I realise other survivors of sexual trauma, but I want to focus on that because that's the platform here today. When you're considering what you do and the blend that you both bring together, what is it that you notice about having that two heads are better than one approach? You know, what are some of the benefits you've recognised through being able to work collaboratively on that?
Well, for me, I think that when I facilitate, a lot of my background has been in giving talks and kind of, you know, speaking. So I really I kind of get into the mode of like explaining concept, and then I'm quite firm with people. If I see something come up, I'm like, oh, but can you know, like, do you think that maybe this might be it, or whatever? And I find that Susan's more of the compassionate inquiry space, where she allows the space, and she, I don't know, she's just so warm and like, and holding space for people. I feel like she gives off a more like, I'm just gonna put this question out here and then just let you simmer on it. Whereas I'm like, hey, you know, wop.
Yeah. And I think, look, we know both, don't we, guys? We all learn differently. So, the way we absorb information, I think is quite crucial. And I think, you know, we what do we have? We have the kinesthetic, audio, visual modalities. So tell us a bit about how you've been able to blend what people's learning requirements are with the fabulous program you've developed.
What's that?
No pressure.
the dance.
The no pressure. Oh, yeah. Oh, golly.
Well, we have so we've blended it to be Aotearoa. So we have a karakia, we open with the karakia. And then with regards to everybody's kind of, so I'll just go back a little bit, because one of the prerequisites for being an EmpowerMe is that you must be able to self-regulate.
Yes.
So that kind of is where we differentiate ourselves from a crisis service.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, you have to kind of have a certain level of self-awareness and emotional intelligence for us to be able to keep everybody safe within this program. So when that's not to say that we don't get triggered, we all still get triggered, but it's being able to hold ourselves, to a certain degree when we are triggered, and knowing, what to do when we are triggered. So everyone's they're in a different space, they're at different levels of understanding. So after the karakia, we always do a meditation, and that might be a breathwork meditation, a body scan, and that just kind of puts everybody in the room and on the same level, and their I guess their vagus nerve and their body is in a state where they're open to learning and feeling that safe kind of space that you need to be in to be doing this, self inner work.
Yeah.
And then we've got things like dance. So we do a little dance in one of the sessions.
Yeah, that's nearer the end when everybody's got to know each other really well, and then we bring that out, and they kind of have to do it. So.
I remember that night.
And it does start slightly awkwardly. It's like, did you just ask us to dance for a whole song in front of your laptops or videos or whatever? And then by the end of it, everyone's got hands in the air and loving it. Yeah.
And then Susan does a hypnotherapy session as well. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So we go through, one of the sessions is about self-talk and reacting versus responding, so triggers, and especially with the self-talk part, we get them to identify what positive things you say to yourself and what negative things do you say to yourself. So just getting people to be aware of what's going on in their mind. And quite often when people are doing the courses, that there's a lot more negative than positive. And then, we talk about what that does to us. And so, reframing and so forth. So we decided to have the hypnotherapy session at the end of that, because people can actually be feeling a little bit low about themselves, like realizing that actually I don't even talk to myself very nicely. How am I going to expect to be, feeling good if I'm not even kind to myself? And so that's why we put the I am enough, which is a really widely held belief by a lot of people. If only everyone knew how amazing they were and perfect, and just perfect exactly how they are. So that's what that's about. So we bring the I am enough in, and that's sort of like a 20-minute, I put them into hypnosis, and then I take them through this, just lots of positive messages about themselves, and get them to imagine themselves as a baby and a small child. And it's just getting them to realize how amazing they are. And we also give them a recording of that they listen to for 21 days after that, and that's to embed the messages, really. And it takes 21 days to embed a habit, so the science says. So that's the reason for that. And that's always a lovely session, because of the kind of maybe the negative headspace, and then people leave feeling good about themselves.
Really powerful. And when you think about it, the conditioning is a child with surviving child sexual abuse is the antithesis of that in many ways. So it's quite a barrier, and it goes very deep. And I think that's really, really powerful. So
it has been really powerful because of that, because there's a lot of women that have had childhood sexual abuse. So, you know, we did talk about, you know, whether what can we say in this hypnosis, and we've made it very safe. And knowing that these things might come up during the hypnotherapy as well. But what we've seen is such incredible outcomes and results from the women, like,
yeah,
you know, who I'm thinking of. It like literally has changed their whole outlook and perspective on the world, and the lens that they see through, you know, changes just from this one session, or from the program.
And
it
certainly has a very powerful impact. You could see that.
It does. And it's I guess what we've done with EmpowerMe is had some really kind of light tools and mixed them in between some really quite deep, impactful tools and activities, so that it's not all really full on and really deep, but so that there's a journey with it, there's a flow, and you know, you're reminded of things, and we bring things back in later down the track that we've said in the beginning, and it all just ties in really, really nicely.
And talking about the lightness, we do actually, and you'll know this because you're in it, but you know, there are moments of real joy and laughter, and it's not all deep and heavy, and that's a nice balance, I think. You know?
I think it's a journey. Everyone's on an individual journey, but collectively we're all on the journey as well. And how we arrive there and in what manner is just down to personality, isn't it? And experience, I guess. You know, different experiences people have had. So as you're thinking about this program, and as you're now looking at your e-learning platform, how are you hoping to get it out there across the world, so all our listeners, you know, from everywhere, Asia, Pacifica, you know, we've got the States, we've got, you know, all over Europe. What's your thinking? What's your plan? Tell us what we can look forward to, how we discover you, and how this can work for us.
So this year in January, we started building an e-learning platform that can be accessed from everywhere, and we've broken the courses down so that you don't have to do a full 8-week program. You know, we've got more accessibility in the way that you can do these tools and learn about these tools that you know, take you through all the changes. So on the e-learning platform, we are still delivering our live 8-week program, which is with Susan and I, and with that you have a printed workbook and a gratitude journal, and you get a mentoring session, and you get to tap in, you know, constantly on a Telegram class chat. And then we have another level for a little bit cheaper cost-wise, which is a hybrid between videos of Susan or I explaining the concept, and then a facilitator, Natalie, delivering or just really doing the live discussions and the activities.
And creating that group environment, so you get the feeling of connectedness and safety. You
still get that bounce, like learning off other people and like what their experience, which was massive. A huge part of the feedback, wasn't it? It was like one of the biggest parts of the feedback was you know, being able to be in a room with other people and hear their experiences. And then we wanted to make it more accessible for more people on an international kind of space. So we have developed mini courses of each of the activities and the tools that we do in the bigger programs, but they're all video courses. And then so you do like one course has maybe 19 lessons or 11 lessons in it, and it's the same flow. So you still do the karakia, and you still do the short guided meditation, and then you go into the activities. The activities are either a video of me or Susan, and then it's an interactive questionnaire, or you can write it down, or there's an audio.
And then there's resources, extra resources. So, with, books or podcasts or something that's going to support their further learning if they're interested in delving deeper, because it is just an introduction to the concepts really, and to bring people's awareness about each of the areas. And so there's
and that's $44 a month, so it's a membership, and you can either pay for 1 month membership, and if you want to do it all at once, you can just get in there and do it, and you can cancel at any time. So it's just really flexible for people to tap in when they want to tap in, or tap out when they want to tap out, or
just making it more affordable.
Yeah, I love that thinking, and I love the fact that it's it's a follow-on from an initial course that people may have chosen in terms of therapy, but then you're left. So I love the fact that this is kind of quite containing. It's a container for people really. And then of course what you may not have realised, or perhaps haven't had a chance to talk about yet, is that not only that, but out of that you then have friendships develop and connections continue beyond the course. And that's
so we
really
also
powerful as well.
So we also, on this platform that we're building, there's a community. So with every single course that you do, you can have a chat group. So you can actually, so whichever lesson you're doing, say you're doing one on the feelings wheel, and you want to talk to somebody or bounce off somebody about how you've experienced doing that tool, you can start a chat about that particular topic. And then there's also a bigger community. We can go, hi, I've done this course, or I've done this course, and this is where I'm at, etc., etc. So people can actually, keep learning together and bouncing off each other, even if they're doing the self-led courses,
Yeah, no, that's really powerful. It really sounds really like a huge amount of work, actually.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So when are we hoping to launch this, guys? When are we looking at potentially? I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm just wondering for our audience out there.
Ideally, end of May.
End of May.
So that's the ideal framework. Yeah,
we've got our calendar up there, so I'm like, it's big, and in orange.
Yeah.
End of May. That's
end of May.
That's when we want to have this going.
And you'll launch it, and you've got a website we can direct people to.
At the moment we're directing people to our website, which is nzempowerme.com.
Yep.
And it has all the information about the course on there, but it won't be until the end of May that we actually have a landing page and you can get onto the e-learning platform. But we probably will build up a wait list in the next couple of weeks or few weeks. The reason that I guess we're taking our time with it, and just like we have done over the last 2 years of building it and developing it, we've done a lot of research and testing, and we really feel that it's important to get the perspectives and make sure that we're doing it right, and we're not excluding anybody, and we're making sure that everything is still safe the whole way through, and very clear and concise. So we're just about to do a testing phase, which is a little bit nerve-wracking, because they're going to be testing four of the mini courses, and essentially at the end of that, we'll get the feedback, and either we'll be on the right track or we'll be completely off the right.
Yeah. So we just staying open to the feedback.
Just keep breathing. Keep breathing. But I love that, because you're not dictating anything. You're actually creating something, testing it, and then getting some quality control stuff. And look, hey, even if there were some changes, I'm sure they'd only be minor tweaks. So you had a pretty
Thanks, Gloria.
you had a pretty
Yeah.
solid program from what I could see. And
Yeah, here's hoping.
yeah,
It just goes with our ethos. Like,
Yeah.
we're not doctors, and we never claim to be
No.
doctors or want to be doctors. Essentially, we are women that have experienced sexual violence or sexual abuse, and we've got here, and we're doing this because we've actually lived it and done these tools on ourselves, practiced these tools ourselves. So, you know, it's not like we're preaching something that we haven't experienced.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. And I think, to be honest, that's the X factor from my perspective. You know, often you can read things or hear things or attend things, and the person who may be doing the talking has not necessarily experienced what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's not to detract from people trying their absolute best, but I think we all sense, don't we, whether someone really knows what they're talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Because it
definitely.
comes from within. It's sort of
Well, you can feel it with a therapist, can't you?
intrinsic. Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
can feel it, you know, when you're in therapy, you know, you can just sense, you know, if your therapist has experienced similar to what you have. And that's I guess, yeah, what does set us apart is that immediate kind of bond in that space, that comes with non-judgment and full compassion, you know.
It's immediate acceptance. I think you mentioned before, but it is this, you know, that knowing of that is massive, that you're going to join a group. You get the nervousness because, like, oh, who's going to be in the group, you know, that nervousness. But I think for everyone, the acceptance and was huge.
Oh, amazing. And, you know, and people sense that. I think we all have that sixth sense. We all have that ability to read a situation and come away feeling, well, I feel much more, empowered now than I did before.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think that's really powerful.
Well, that is the key. I mean, it is a giveaway in the name, but that's what we want.
Yeah.
That's what we'd love for people to feel more empowered about themselves. So
yeah.
And I think there's one thing, actually, it's what you really contributed to the group that you were on, Gloria.
Yeah.
When you talk about, and having worked in mental health, there was always this unspoken thing as well, and it's the hierarchy of trauma. And we really want to dismantle that, and we really want to smash down those kind of barriers where people, you know, are looking at EmpowerMe and seeing it for a sexual abuse survivor course. And we're kind of going, well, actually, no, there's a spectrum, and it doesn't matter. It's still, what did you say? It was like, it doesn't matter because it comes back to the first time and the trauma happens within you. It's not about what the event was. It's actually what's happened.
It's that comparative suffering, which Brene Brown talks about. You know, what happened to you is not necessarily any more profound than what happened to someone who might have been a little bit younger and had one experience. And I think this suffering and comparing suffering is pointless and counterproductive.
Totally.
It's really powerful for people to feel, look, you know, we all experienced what we did, but the feelings that emerge are probably very similar, and that's the key.
You don't know how it manifests in each person because it's so individual, and Gabor Mate speaks about that as well, you know. Like it's what it does to you.
Yes.
And we do, you know, you would have remembered from your group, you know, there's a lot of the behaviors and a lot of the feelings are the same. You know, we've all been in the same place and felt those same things and been those same women when we were, you know, in our trauma state or our fight or flight mode. You know, the hypervigilance, the promiscuity, all of those things are shared experiences.
So I think that's really powerful. Is there anything that you're thinking as you're considering this, because there could be someone over in Italy listening and thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind, when will I know? Is there anything in terms of information, like once you have everything finalised and ready to go? I might put something up in the show as a precursor to that, so we'll revisit this again and make sure that people are fully aware of when you are live and when it's launched.
Yeah, of course. Really, and I mean, at the moment, if anyone's interested, then our website, as we said before, EmpowerMe.com,
yeah,
you can go in there and register, and that will just, that will allow you to be on our database, so you'll hear all the updates, you'll know what's going on and when it's live and when courses are available.
Yeah, fantastic. Anything top of mind for you, Susan? Anything else you would like to share with us?
I don't think so. I think, you've asked the questions about, what EmpowerMe is and what we're trying to do. And yeah, I mean, it does, I said before, it does sound a bit cliche that we want people to feel more empowered about them, but really that is the end goal.
That is.
We want them to be in a better position than they were before they started the course. We want them to have a vision for themselves so they know where they're going. And to make those connections with other people and friends, so they're not alone along the way. Yeah,
that's lovely. It's such a gift in itself. How about you, Tamara? Anything you'd like to add that we perhaps haven't looked at?
And it's going to be amazing. It's a movement, and you better get on board, because we're not stopping.
Great.
No, I think the main thing that I want to say to people is, and it goes back to that kind of comparison thing. We've had a lot of women that want to come and do the course, but don't feel like it's for them, because they feel like it didn't happen so bad, or it was just, in a club or whatever. And so I really want to stress that EmpowerMe is pretty much for every woman, because we actually believe that no woman grows up in a society where they don't at some stage feel safe, or they haven't experienced some kind of harassment, or and it's we don't want to exclude people, and we are open to having non-survivors in there and grouping them, so it's like we just don't believe that this is for one particular kind of hierarchy of survivor.
Everybody's voice is important. Everybody is important, and so bringing people together is really important.
It's really important. No, I understand that, and it's a valid point, unfortunately.
It is unfortunate.
The statistics say it, and a lot of women, like for myself, I didn't call my gang rape a gang rape until 12-15 years later. So often someone will not put themselves in that label, or say that they are that, when in actual fact, if we're looking at it, it is that, So there's kind of, it's a complex kind of situation to get around.
Hey, but look, at the end of the day, you're out there as CSA survivors. You've gone through what you've gone through, and look at what you're doing. Just really humbled by your presence, actually, and thank you so much for giving back and giving so much, so that other survivors can find a way.
I feel the same amount of humbled gratification and admiration for you and what you do, Gloria.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, guys, so look for our audience out there. Thank you for joining us today. Wow, this is going to be exciting. Get on board, get on that website, get on the wait list. There will be something there for you. You're never alone. You're not alone. If you would like to be on the show and you are a CSA survivor, it would be my honour to host you. Please go to gloriamasters.com, fill in the online form, and we can take it from there. In the meantime, kia kaha, and thank you to Tamara and Susan.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.